Hey guys, welcome back. I'm going to apologize in advance. I'm battling a bit of a cold, so I may have to clear my throat a time or two. And unfortunately, the furnace might kick on here and there. But anyway, I thought I'd open up with this shot here, highlighting the difference between commercially available 3-rail track and 2-rail track. On the right, we have a 3-rail track by Atlas O, and on the left, we have a 2-rail track made by Micro Engineering. As you can see, an incredible difference in the height of the track and the rails themselves. The Atlas O on the right, the rail height I believe is code like 215, and what you're looking at on the left is code 148. Both nickel silver rails. The Micro Engineering does have a lower profile tie, which is some of the difference in the height you're seeing there. But overall, again, you can clearly see the difference in the size there. Again, just a good comparison shot. I'm going to pick the camera up, take you in for a little bit of a different angle. And as you can see here, quite a bit of difference. Again, I'm going to bring it around to the side here. And again, we can see quite a bit of difference. Okay, so just something I thought I would open up with, show the difference in height and incredibly difference in appearance, even outside of just the middle rail. So again, you can see pretty good contrasting look there. So that said, I'm going to go ahead and reposition the camera, and I'm going to go ahead and take you around for an update on the layout and what we've accomplished this week and what's to come. So stay tuned. Okay, we're back. This week I thought I'd start at the opposite end of the layout from where I would normally start. Let me zoom out here a little bit. What you're looking at there in the lower right-hand corner is kind of the tail end of where an industry siding is going to be. Again, with the open bench work for scenery purposes and stuff, plus to facilitate the wiring and everything. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of pan around to the left here a bit. We're going to continue through our curve. I was able to install a 60-inch radius down here at this end, which is good. That's what I was hoping for. And then we come back around to our left here to where the covered bench work begins. And again, this whole area here is going to be filled up with obviously the main line passing through in the background, but then also some yard tracks for storage. And then mostly what it's going to be comprised of, I should say, is an engine servicing facility. So not sure if I'm going to put a turntable in or not. I don't know if I want to really sacrifice the real estate for that. So we'd have things like the coaling facilities, sanding, obviously water, the lubritoriums that the Norfolk and Western was famous for. Going to be incorporating some of those, as well as a bunch of other things, some visually interesting things. So kind of looking forward to that. I'm going to go ahead and reposition the camera so we can kind of get a view looking back down the layout the other way. So give me just a moment and let me do that and we'll continue back. We're kind of looking at a different angle, but of the same area that I closed with in the previous shot. So now we'll just go ahead and pan to the left. And again, excuse my mess, but layout under construction, so that's how it goes. Now we're looking back down towards the opposite end of the layout. Let me just move this camera a bit. Apologize for that. And obviously it's kind of hard to tell through all the clutter, but this whole area here, this is, like I said, where that whole engine servicing facility is going to go. Storage tracks, things of that nature. That's going to be a main focal point of the layout. Going to incorporate a lot of things in that area there. Like I said, visually interesting stuff, operational things. Off to the left, if I were to pan back, the shot initially opened up right about here we were looking at, but looking the other way. So continuing back down, we've got the lift up section right in this area. Way down there is the swing out section. We'll go down there in a minute. But again, the overall point with this video is that the sub roadbed is complete around the entire layout. I managed to get that all in, leveled, screwed down, got our supports in, our risers and everything. And made some good headway this week. So obviously the next step coming up after that will be some track work. So let me go ahead and move down further down the layout that way, and we'll take a shot down there. Okay, we're back. We'll move down the layout a little bit. Right here in this area is the lift up section. As you can see here, I'm going to The reason I'm showing you this is because as I figured, building this portion out of 2x4s especially, it weighs, about in the same area as a 59 Cadillac. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take just the lift out portion, I'm going to remove it, I'm going to rebuild it out of 1x4s, and then I've got an idea to handle the sub roadbed for the track work there. I want to lighten it up a little bit. It's not too unmanageable for me. My main concern is when my wife or children have to come down here and they need to lift it up to access something inside of here. So I'm going to just redo that, like I said, out of 1x4s. I had one of similar dimensions on my previous layout, just about the same size, same shape, and really it weighed probably 35 to 40% less than what this weighs, being made out of 2x4s. So I'm going to go ahead probably and redo that, like I said, just for them to make it easier to get in and whatnot. It'll be the same design instead of 1x4s, a couple more cross braces in the center there, obviously for structural support, but I know it'll come out lighter than this is, and it'll be just as strong structurally. So nobody's going to be sitting on that portion or walking on it. It is strictly to join the two sections of the layout, obviously, and then to walk through. So, but I wanted to build it this way first. I wanted to see. My suspicions were right, but that's okay. That's not a big deal. That'll take me, 35 minutes, an hour, whatever, to rebuild it. Not a big deal. I've got the 1x4s on hand. I'm going to be reusing the 3/4 ply on top. It's already cut and fit, so that's not an issue. Pretty much just building a new frame and attaching the hinges to it, so not a big deal. Panning back this way again, obviously down there, you can see the rollout section. And again, on top, I'll take you closer, but we've got all our sub roadbed in, the risers are installed, everything's completed down there. Most of the backdrop is in. At some point, I am going to put a filler piece in here that's going to be attached to that swing out section, so obviously we can continue that backdrop over a bit. So that said, let me go ahead and reposition one more time, and we'll take a view at the other. Okay, here we go. Back down a little bit closer, I should say. As you can see, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in slightly here. Hopefully it doesn't wash out with the window behind it. Got the sub roadbed installed. Risers are in place. Everything's screwed in, leveled. Continuing to the left. Showed you this area many times. We've got that all completed as well. Track work's coming around. Thankfully, just barely missing our ever-present lally column. And again, everything's in, attached, leveled, and ready for the track work to begin. And then this just continues back around to our, pardon the table saw in the way, but back to our covered bench work here, where the yard area and engine servicing facility is going to be. So that's in place. I'm going to go ahead and just move the camera now while I'm still recording. Just give me just a quick moment. Just want to change angles a little bit here. Thanks for bearing with me. I'm going to go ahead and zoom back out here. All right. So like I said, everything's in, ready to get going on the track. The swing out section, that's all done, ready to go. Everything's finished there. This area down here, I am going to be, there's some screws protruding from the bottom from holding those casters in place. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those off, obviously for safety reasons. So I don't want any sharp edges protruding through there. But again, we made some good headway this week. I'm just going to move the camera one more time, and we're going to take a big long shot looking back down the opposite way. So there we go. That's where we kind of began earlier. So anyway, yeah, as you can see, everything's ready to go. Tracks are ready to go in. Like I had said, there's going to be a bunch of track that is going to be put down. That is I'm going to utilize the microengineering code 148. Commercially available track for some of the areas that are further off in the background, not up front, real close to the viewing aisle. Excuse me. And then also in some areas where I might be, having some mountains and whatnot. So that's going to be happening real soon. Again, I'm going to hand lay all the turnouts. I'm going to hand lay a lot of the track that's going to be up front, real close to where, to the viewing aisle here. I'm going to hand lay that. So there's going to be a ton of videos coming with covering the track laying, the turnout building. I'm going to build a lot of them in place right here on the layout, save time and everything like that. The scenery is going to be interesting. It's going to be coming along in a little bit, obviously after the track work. But I want to also take an opportunity here to explain a few other additional things. So I'm going to reposition this camera for a moment and then talk to you about that. Okay, what you're looking at here is just a general shot of the layout, obviously sub roadbed, risers and everything like that. I thought I'd take a moment and talk about what I'm planning on doing in terms of scenery and then in terms of being able to access the wiring once I'm doing the scenery. Now, I decided a while back that in areas where I have, let's say, wiring going to a turnout, and areas where I have a junction, if you will, of various wiring coming together, I'm going to make sections of the scenery that are removable. I'm just going to step over here by the camera, and what you need to think of is, obviously, our track work up here, scenery, obviously, in the forefront here as well. Let's say I'm going to have a turnout here, which I am. Also, obviously, the bus wiring for the layout. I have a unique way of how I'm going to go ahead and do that. But in terms of the scenery, I'm going to build a lot of it on removable sections of pink rigid foam. And that's going to allow me to obviously scenic the whole area, but it's also going to allow me to take that whole section, whether it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 feet even in length, and slide it out. And it'll open all of this right back up to what you're looking at right now. Of course, I'll have fascia installed on the front of the layout, but in terms of accessing all of this, I can stand right here. The wiring is going to be, let's just say, this side of the sub roadbed. I'll make some videos about that in the future and show you what I came up with for that. But the scenery in this area, and in many areas of the layout, are going to be it's going to be removable. I want to be able to access this wiring and everything from above. I'm not getting any younger. I'm not exactly a tiny guy. I like a cheeseburger. So, needless to say, I want to make it and build it with the idea of being able to get to it later easily. Maybe I want to add wiring for something. Maybe I need to remove wiring. Maybe I need to perform maintenance on something. So I want to be able to just take a section, slide it out, and then take that section and just set it off to the side somewhere and have all my open access to everything I need to get to. Now, obviously, in the back areas of the layout, let me just get back behind the camera for a minute here. The areas behind the layout, behind the track, over here, that scenery is going to be in place. It's done. But everything in the foreground, especially in this area here where I got to turn out and stuff, I'm going to slide it out. I'm going to make it so I can take it all off. Other than the fascia, track work being up there and being ballasted and everything, I'm going to be able to access everything. All the wiring, everything I need to get to without a problem. I won't need to crawl under the layout. I'm not going to need to lay on my back, sit around on a little scooter, whatever. I can stand here or even sit on a bar stool with ease and access everything I need to access on the layout. I'm going to go ahead, pan over this way a little bit more. This whole area in here, I'm going to be modeling a section of where the N&W runs alongside the Tug River. You know, it's going to be interesting visually. It's going to provide some interesting detail. But again, removable sections, slide them out. We don't have to have all of our scenery solidly built in place, okay? Our basement's not moving, okay? We can go ahead and build sections that are removable. I've dealt with working with a pink foam in the past. Sometimes you'll get a little bit of shrinkage out of it where it'll shrink down. And if that occurs, there's ways to compensate for it. There's ways to hide where one section will meet another to where it will not just leap out at you. When we get to all that, obviously, I'm going to show you what I do and show you how it works, how it looks, and I'm going to show you how it all goes together. So you're going to watch it start to finish. But anyway, I just wanted to take a minute to cover that and talk about how I'm going to do this. When I do begin doing the wiring, obviously the 75%, let's say, of the layout that is open like this is going to be done in that way. The yard area and the engine servicing area, of course, that's, you know, going to be conventional. The wiring is going to be underneath it. That I'm going to have to get under, okay? So I want to just pan back around to that real quick, okay? You see the open area there right now. From the floor to the base of the 2x4 here is roughly 40 inches, okay, 45 inches, I should say. That's going to give me plenty of room to sit on a little stool I have with wheels. I can roll right under there and roll right out. I'm going to be building storage underneath there to store a lot of my train cars and my engines. I have a very creative way of doing that that is going to allow me to still have access to the wiring when I need it, but also allow me to have plenty of storage for all my stuff. Obviously, I need storage for the train cars, for the locomotives. I'm going to need to have an area devoted to, I guess you can think about it as a command station, if you will, where I'm going to have a lot of the equipment for the layout located, a central wiring point, if you will. And I'm going to need to have access to all that. So that's going to be a big deal. I'm going to need to make sure I have all that in place, and I'm going to need to make sure that I have, like I said, access to the wiring once it is installed, once all that storage is in place, and once all that is there. So I have a pretty creative solution for that when the time comes. Again, I'll make videos covering all that. With a lot of that stuff, it's not going to just be, okay, poof, here it is, I'm done. I will go ahead and film it from beginning to end, so you can just see the steps and what I did and how I created what I created. So I didn't want to film all of that with the bench work. I think we all know how to build bench work. So that's, to me that would have been kind of like watching a car rust. I didn't want to bore everybody. But when I begin those phases, I'm going to film it, and so you can just see how I go about doing it. Same thing when we move on to the track work and stuff. So bunch more videos coming. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this. And I'll probably be beginning track work this coming week. I want to do what I can now before the weather turns nice outside, because then over the summer months work progress will slow down a little bit. There'll still be work done and videos coming, but not quite as often as now. I'm also going to do another video here shortly. I had some people emailing me asking me why did I choose to model the Norfolk and Western? What are my interests in it? What inspired me? So I'm going to make a quick video discussing that. That's also going to be following this video. So thanks for watching. Thank you for tolerating my froggy voice with my cold. I apologize, but I appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying the videos. And like I said, there's going to be a bunch more coming, guys. So tune back in and check back often.